Are you ready to stop shrinking to fit into someone else's version of success? Welcome to Illuminate Your Worth, the podcast that helps you remember who you are and reclaim your life. Hosted by transformation facilitator Heather Stewart, this is your space for soulful conversations, coaching insights, and reminders that you're not here to settle. You're here to shine. Now let's dive in.
Let's do this, my friend. It is a fabulous day because we're here. That's enough for me. I'm Heather. This is Illuminate Your Worth. We're on the Inspired Choices Network, and I don't know if you ever listened to the intro. I mean, I've probably heard it a whole lot, but sometimes something just catches me, and I like how she said, even though I wrote it, I like how she says, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" Because I recognize that everybody's in a different place and everybody is traveling their road. Everyone is working towards their own happiness, their own thriving, their own fill in the blank of what you're working towards. And the question about are you ready is are you ready to maybe, if you haven't done anything yet, like take a step, my friend. Take a step, do a little bit more. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but you have to do something, right? Um, I'm talking with my husband recently about uh, politics. I don't talk about politics much. He loves I mean, he's got a degree in political science, so he loves talking politics. And when he talks to me, I come from it's not that complicated point of view. They just make it complicated. And he finally said to me the other day, we keep trying to fix the problem with the same solution. I said, yes, you are. And humans do that so much, where we keep trying the same thing over and over and over. Sometimes we dress it up a little differently, right? We give it a different name, but we keep trying the same thing over and over to create a change, and we're disappointed, and sometimes we blame ourselves when it doesn't work the way we want it. And I think, and this isn't to give us a hard time, this is just recognizing that we do this. We have this tendency to do this. And I think there's a few reasons for this. So today's episode actually is called Happiness. Why are we choosing happiness? Safety over happiness. Why do we choose safety over happiness? And uh, this kind of builds a little bit on last week when we were talking about breaking up with perfectionism, which is actually, I'm going to have a laugh right here because I've been working on this app, and it's going to launch. I'm going to say, flag, plant my flag. It's going to launch by next week. This app is going to launch by next week. And there is a free area for people to join and join in conversation. And I'm laughing at perfectionism because, of course, I keep tweaking it. You know, I have this program that I'm using to build it, and I keep making little changes. Oh, actually, I want this over here. Oh, actually, no, this would be better over here. And then I have to check myself and think, is that gonna really make any difference? Let's only work on the stuff that's really core important. And we are wired for safety. So that perfectionism that we talked about might be thinking that it's keeping us safe, right? If we delay this a little bit, if we just keep working on it and keep working on it and keep working on it, well, then we don't ever have to expose ourselves or expose this thing that we've been working on that we might be judged on, or expose that we might have done something not the way someone else thinks it should be done. Right? That's really all it is. Someone else has a different opinion, and that's going to keep happening. So when we choose safety, we're hardwired as a species. I think all beings are pretty much hardwired for safety. Think about squirrels, and there's a rabbit who lives in the garden in my building who I say hello to, and they're all wired for safety. As soon as they see something, they go, "Am I safe?" And then they decide whether to freeze, flee. You know, we have this freeze, flee, freeze, fly, or I can't remember what they all are. Doesn't matter. You understand my point. So we are hardwired to be safe. Yes, thanks, Dana, my angel in the background. Flight, fight, or freeze. That's why I have two brains. I need two brains sometimes. And we are hardwired for it. And then humans did this great thing where they grew this frontal lobe of their brain, which helps us not just react. We're still going to have our instinct because that's a good thing. That's what keeps you from, that's what gets you to jump out of the way of the speeding car. We're still going to have our instinct, and we get to take a take the instinct and go, okay, hold on. If it's not a speeding car, okay, hold on. Is this really the reaction that I need right now? And I see it so like I'm in conversation with a couple of clients right now who are choosing safety. They really want to be happy. Everybody really wants to be happy. Every human, I bet you ask any human on the planet, no matter where they live, no matter like their culture, their background, male, female, country, age, everybody just wants to be happy. Everybody's got a different definition of happy, but everybody just wants to be happy. Yet you can see in the decisions that people make that they are choosing safety and they think that's what's going to make them happy. And I'm going to throw it out there that that's not actually how you're going to be happy. Safety is never going to be what you need. You can find safety when you're happy, but if you're safety and happy aren't synonymous. They aren't the same thing. And you might be choosing, you might think that you're choosing between this good situation and this bad situation. And I've heard people say it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. Well, that tells me right there that you don't like the situation that you're in. If you're saying it's safer here in this, I can manage this, the thing that I don't like, versus going into the unknown where potentially, oh my God, it could be worse, but hell, it could be better. Come on, seriously? Let's talk about this. So if you take a pause for yourself here, take a little breath, and just think about this. Is there somewhere in your life that you're not really very happy, but you're just kind of sticking with it because you're happy enough? Well, okay. Do you want to live the rest of your life that way? Seriously? Because what does it look like 5 years from now? You're 5 years older and it's okay. You're still in the okay, it's okay space. Maybe it's worse. I don't know. But so safety is things like staying in a job that drains you, and recognizing that that's like I used to do I tried the whole work-life balance thing. When I was in corporate, I tried and tried and tried to figure out how to have work-life balance because I didn't hate my job. It was okay. It was okay. It paid well. I liked the people I hung out with. I just wasn't really into the work. So, so what happens to you is that it starts to drain you, and that's going to impact the other areas of your life, even if you don't recognize it. So when I used to do this talk called There's No Such Thing as Work-Life Balance, because I said you can't just compartmentalize one area of your life and say, I'll just leave that the way it is, and I'll try to make happiness in the rest of my life over here, right? Because they're connected by you. You are the hub of this wheel, right? You are the pivot point of everything in your life. You are where the buck stops for everything. And if you're not happy in your job and it's draining you, how are you going to be happy in the rest of your life? Because if you think about people who work their butts off so they can go on vacation, they get sick when they go on vacation, probably. And the couple of days before they come back from their vacation, they're starting to ramp up their stress or whatever, their dislike for what's going to be happen when they go into work on the Monday morning. And even if they've managed to relax on their vacation, it's they haven't been able to completely release it because it comes back in. And I had this boss when I was in corporate who was an amazing boss, by the way. She was so lovely to work for, a senior VP. And she would go on vacations with her family and she would check her email every day. And that is not healthy. You can't, you can't unplug. You can't rest your mind. Oh my goodness. So staying in a job, that's a long story, to staying in a job that drains you instead of supports you, that's you staying safe instead of choosing happiness. If you own your own business, staying small, not putting yourself out there. I saw this a lot when I was coaching new coaches. They didn't want to put themselves out there. They really wanted to coach people, but they were afraid to step up and go, "Hi, I'm a coach. Do you want to be my client?" Like, it's safe not to be seen, isn't it? It's safe to be invisible. That's why animals have this built-in camouflage. And it feels uncomfortable and dangerous. Somehow, in our instincts, have felt like it's dangerous for us to be seen or to start to expand beyond the borders of what we know. This is a funny story. When I was 15, this just popped into my head, so I feel like I should share it with you. When I was 15, I grew up in a small place. We had 20,000 people, smallish. It was big enough for two high schools and a couple of Tim Hortons. And I'm like, we didn't have McDonald's until I was like 10 or 11. But I can remember very clearly, I was 15 and I don't think I had ever been out of the city that I grew up in. And I had this boyfriend whose father was a music director. And so we were going to another city that wasn't that far away from where I lived, but I'd never visited it. And it's so funny that I had this fear, but maybe you can kind of see where it comes from and why we do this in our lives. So I went with them to this other city, and it wasn't even any bigger than where I grew up, really. It was just another small city. And we were walking around the streets, and I had this intense fear that people were going to know that I wasn't from there. Now, I say it now and it sounds completely irrational, doesn't it? And it is kind of irrational. Like, would they even care? Now I live in somewhere with several million people. Every neighborhood is a brand new city. But at the same time, that speaks to the instinct we have inside of us that when we're in something unfamiliar, it feels unsafe. And that instinct that we have in us trips us up and keeps us from this thing that we want. We want to be happy. Now, don't give yourself a hard time, right? Don't give yourself a hard time because if it's like you don't know what you don't know. If nobody ever said it to you before and you suddenly go, someone whacks you in the head, you're like, oh my God, no, I can't unsee this. That's okay. That's a good thing. Doesn't mean you have to go jumping, into traffic or anything. But if you have ever thought that your life was fine, that fine, I'm fine, and that you should be grateful or you should be happier, then this perhaps is the conversation for you. And there's nothing wrong with you, right? Your nervous system is doing a good job at keeping you safe. But let's help it expand a little, stretch a little bit, and move into happiness. I can't believe we're already going to head out on our first break. We're heading out on our first break, my friend. This is your perfect opportunity to pop over to the platform of your choice, whatever you're listening on, and give us a little 5-star review. Well, a big 5-star review. And if you throw some words in there, that's even better. I am Heather. This is Illuminate Your Worth on the Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
What if your too much was actually your superpower? On Illuminate Your Worth, Heather Stewart guides you back to your truth with coaching, mindset shifts, and powerful conversations designed to light up every corner of your life, from career and creativity to wellness and worth. Tune in weekly and discover how to stop surviving and start thriving on your own terms. Listen to Illuminate Your Worth with Heather Stewart on the Inspired Choices Network and wherever you get your podcasts.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
You're listening to Illuminate Your Worth with Heather Stewart. Want to connect live during the show? Join the studio audience in the chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send questions or coaching requests to info@heatherstewart.coach. Let's get back to today's episode and your path to a thriving life.
For me, thriving is one of the ways that I know that I am happy. In case you're looking for what is my happiness? I've been on Monday, so today is Wednesday when we're doing this live stream. On Monday, I was on 3 podcasts, other people's podcasts. And they were 3 very different podcasts. And the hosts were amazing. And I post up all my conversations on my YouTube channel, if they're on YouTube, on Spotify, on my website. If you're ever going to look for them, I'll let you know when they're up. But it was interesting that they all were kind of asking me the same questions about overcoming challenges in life, how to overcome challenges and be happy. And happiness is this interesting, sometimes elusive kind of term, like, don't worry, be happy, blah, blah, blah. That's great. But you're going to worry anyway. So, can you find happiness in the situation that you're in and know that there are steps that you can take to become happier, right? Kind of a little different thing, So we were talking about how, oh, by the way, yes, and thank you for coming back. I just jumped right in. This is Heather over here. Illuminate Your Worth, turning the lights on before I warn people. I'm turning the lights on. You know, when you come into a dark room, cover your eyes. I'm turning the lights on. Okay, get ready. I'm turning the lights on. So we're talking about the difference between happiness and safety and how we're wired for safety. And I don't want to unwire that because it is there for a reason, but I only want it to be used in the circumstances that it's really meant for, which is to keep you from dying. Really. That's why we're wired for safety, so we keep from dying. But we're in this world now where it's being utilized by our brains for everything because it sees danger everywhere. I mean, look at people. We talk about cortisol levels and stress is one of the number one causes of disease, and it's why people like end up with heart attacks and things. And there's no man-eating lions where I live. Well, there are, but they're in the zoo and they're very well fed. And so there's not so many things that we need to be on that high alert safety for. So we've replaced it with life. We've replaced it with the things that we were hardwired to look for danger, and that's what we're finding. And it's keeping us from this elusive, subjective thing of happy. So one thing I would ask, so I have a friend who I was having her do this exercise recently. So there was something that she didn't want to attend because it's because it didn't feel safe, even though she knew she was intellectually, she knew she would be fine. But part of her didn't want to go, felt unsafe. I said, okay, so let's go, because she had been there before. Nobody, like, things happen in people's, it's happened to me. Anxiety comes from strange places that we can't always figure out. So what you do is you take yourself to a situation. This is to help you find what your happy is. I should have let you know that. So take your mind somewhere in your past, or if you can't find one, imagine something happy and feel the feelings what happy would feel like. That's your uh, that's your touchstone. That's when you go, okay, this is what happy feels like. And if it's not a feeling, maybe it's something you visualize, like find a way to be able to imagine or remember happiness. And it doesn't have to be connected to anything specific, and it doesn't have to be connected to anything you're working towards now. Like I can remember sitting in the St. Lawrence River at my grandparents' cottage, and I was kind of half in the water, half out of the water, and I was just splashing and playing with these rocks, and I was very happy. That works. I can take that feeling and translate it into other things. I don't have to attach it to anything. I can only ever be happy playing in the river. That's not going to work. It's too cold right now. But find that happiness. So that is our touch point, right? That's our, like, this is what happiness, I'm going to measure happiness against this. So when we define safety, so emotional safety is when we are doing something so we don't feel rejected and we don't feel judged and we don't feel abandoned. So think about relationships that you have. Are you choosing that sensation? Are you choosing in general? I mean, nothing's perfect all the time. Are you choosing happy, or are you choosing to stay safe by not getting kicked off the island, by not feeling like they'll leave you if you do something different, that if you become a different person, if you speak up for yourself, if you change something about yourself? And it doesn't even have to be big. I can remember this was way, way long time ago. This was like 30 years ago. I was in a Weight Watchers meeting of all things. And you can learn stuff anywhere, man. And this lady said, as you start to lose weight, this was when they still met in real life. It was 30 years ago. Did we have the internet then? Yeah, we had the internet then. I know. It's like I come from the time before the internet. No, there was no dinosaurs. But she said, as you start to lose weight, the people around you are going to start to become uncomfortable. And I thought, well, that's crazy. But it's true because you're changing things about yourself and they're used to you being one way, and you changing makes them feel unsafe because something's changing. changing feels unsafe, even if it's even if it's just subconscious, right? And that's when she was using that because she said people will subconsciously sabotage you with, not with ill will, just like because it feels safer. Here, have a piece of cake. Here, have a donut. Here, have another glass of wine. So it's just so interesting that we have these patterns inside of us, these patterns that we've learned. Practical, like think about our practical safety, the Maslow's hierarchy of need. You need money, coin of the realm, to buy food, shelter. You need shelter, a roof over your head. You need to have basic stability to feel safe. That's very practical. I'm not saying go quit your job and give all your money away and become a nomad or anything. Um, so that safety's okay. Don't go put all your money on the roulette wheel on black, right? That's a way that does still keep us safe. Psychological safety, though, is staying where it's familiar and you know the rules. And when we feel psychologically unsafe, we feel unstable, we feel destabilized. So yesterday, Tuesday, was the full moon in Pisces, very emotional full moon. And we had the lunar eclipse. Blah, blah, blah. And it's funny, for those who are like, oh, it's just planets moving around. So when I'm talking to people about whether you follow astrology or not, whether you believe in it or not, the moon has the ability to make the tides on our planet move, right? The moon affects the waters on our planet. It's way up there in the sky. So I always say the planets have their own gravitational fields and they're doing stuff. We give them these mystical powers and mystical names and all these things, but it does move stuff around. And when the planets are lining up and doing strange things, it changes the energetics of what's going on, no matter what name you give it. And for me, I got a little boot in the pants the last couple of days from the energetically. It just felt like energetically for me, and it would be hard for me to describe to you, but because I felt a little sick, but I knew I wasn't sick. I just felt like I was being beat up from the inside. And I knew what was going on. I was I energetically I've been shifting out of the familiar and what I've gotten used to, even though some people think what I do is, that's so out there. But for me, I had started to kind of settle into a groove, and I'm like, no, you gotta take another step forward, yet another step forward, yet another step forward. So that's my body's reaction to it was, no, let's run back into the cave. No, no, let's keep going. And I have support systems in place to help me, right? I have my number one fan, who's my husband. No, I don't think I could ever do anything that he would think was not going to work, no matter what. It's like, okay, that sounds great. Oh, thanks, honey. I have my coaches. I have my community of support that helps me when I'm starting to feel that discomfort. And when you feel that discomfort, that's actually a good thing. If you can start to recognize it as a good thing, as that we're shifting out of safety towards the thing that you know will make you happy. Now, will it make you happy like at the end of the 30-minute episode of the TV show you're watching? No. Maybe. Can't really say. But I'm not going to put that pressure on it, right? So happiness, you need to define it as a sensation, but you also need to define it in your language of what it is for you. Is it, do you feel more alive? Do you feel like you have meaning? Do you feel like your life is right? Do you feel like you're congruent or no, congruent? Yes, congruent or aligned. Do you recognize yourself in the life that you're living? Does it feel like it's your life? And it can be joy. My word for 2026 is joy. I pick a word at the beginning of each year to focus my intention for the year. Mine was joy. So I'm like, okay, when I'm finding myself not in joy, what do I need to shift? Maybe for you it's satisfaction or peace, or maybe it's playfulness. Last year, my word was expansion, which is interesting because I'm expanding more this year than I was last year. But it could have just been me prepping for expansion. And now that I'm doing it, I'm going to make sure I have fun at it. And things like safety is going to ask you, will I survive this? Happiness is going to ask you, will I feel alive in this? Noodle on that one for a minute. So safe is you're not in danger. Happiness is this feels like me. Sit with that. We're going to go on a break. I know. They just keep coming fast and furious. Sit on that one. Papa will give us the review. And if you've already given the review, head over to Amazon and buy my book that just came out a few weeks ago. Illuminate your worth, my friend. Stop pretending you're okay. Start living like you mean it. Kind of a theme going on here. This is Heather. This is Illuminate Your Worth. We're on the Inspired Choices Network, and we will be right back.
What if your too much was actually your superpower? On Illuminate Your Worth, Heather Stewart guides you back to your truth with coaching, mindset shifts, and powerful conversations designed to light up every corner of your life, from career and creativity to wellness and worth. Tune in weekly and discover how to stop surviving and start thriving on your own terms. Listen to Illuminate Your Worth with Heather Stewart on the Inspired Choices Network and wherever you get your podcasts.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
You're listening to Illuminate Your Worth with Heather Stewart. Want to connect live during the show? Join the studio audience in the chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send questions or coaching requests to info@heatherstewart.coach. Let's get back to today's episode and your path to a thriving life.
And definitely, my friend, head over to my website in heatherstewart.coach. And for my friend here, if you are ready, by the way, to make a change, and you're like, okay, Heather, I got it. I need to change something. Go to the Contact Me page and fill out the alignment activation and spend an hour with me where we go through looking at the pattern of your behavior. And the pattern, once you can recognize the pattern, that's going to help you change. You can't change something you can't recognize. So go over to the website. And we are talking about happiness versus safety. So safety asks us if we will survive it. And happiness asks us if we will feel alive in it. And there's a distinction there, right? Because safety is trying to convince us that something's going to kill us. Public speaking is going to kill you. No, it's not going to kill you. In fact, you will survive public speaking even though it feels like you might die. So safety asks you when you're in danger. Safety wants to see if you're in danger. And happiness wants you to feel good. So this is where it kind of gets tangled up. So we were taught that stability meant success. You know, think about the way we talk about this. They have a nice, stable marriage. They have a great, stable job. They live in a stable neighborhood. We see that as successful. We see being responsible as safe. You know, if they're a nice, responsible adult, that means they're safe. Think about, well, I can't remember what show it was, and women, maybe it was it was something to do with women who were talking about dating men, and they men with dogs seemed to were more responsible, were viewed as more responsible because if you can keep a dog alive, well, you've got to be relatively responsible. So that meant they were safe, and that meant they were good. Not necessarily correlating, my friend. And don't use that as your your dating parameters. And then taking risks were seen as selfish and irresponsible and dangerous. So we're already kind of telling ourselves from when we're little that stability was success, responsible was safe, risk is selfish, irresponsible, and dangerous. But we never really tried to qualify that. Like risk, yes, there's risks that are selfish and irresponsible and dangerous. So one of my brothers, he, I don't know that guy. He got stitches and elbows and knees, and that guy, he didn't see it as risk. He thought it was hilarious, but he was constantly crashing out of trees and falling down and cutting things. So that kind of risk, yes, that probably is dangerous. I'm amazed the kid is still alive. But this unconscious connection that we make, that we just paint with broad strokes. Stability is successful. We can't destabilize our lives because that means we failed at something. Really, really. You can't be irresponsible. You can't, what is irresponsible? Irresponsible is quitting your job. Why is that irresponsible? Well, that destabilizes you and that destabilizes your family. And okay, no one's going to die right here, right? So it's not actually dangerous. But this, we kind of paint with these broad strokes. So if I stay safe, so this is what we learn. If I stay safe, then I'm doing life right, even if I'm miserable. So then we've learned miserable is okay if I'm safe. Yes, I really want happy. I really want happy, which is just over there, but it's safer to stay here. And then if you think about the choices that you've made in your life, you might be able to see the pattern yourself of the way you've chosen your job because it's a responsible career, it's safe, it'll, earn you an income. I became an accountant because someone said it's a good career and you'll earn money. I'm like, all right, I'll go do it. I didn't know any difference then. I didn't know how to choose happiness then. It took me 15 years in that career to go, wait a minute, this isn't happy. I don't feel successful. I think I got to change something. And I disrupted my life in a big way. And I disrupted everybody's lives around me. And that feels dangerous, doesn't it? Because then are they going to accept you, the new you? Are they going to accept the way you want to be? It's, I get it. I get it. I totally get it. So, in decisions that you've made about your job or your relationships or moves or anything that you've done, were you optimizing that change or that decision for your own happiness? Or were you doing it because it was keeping you safe? And it's okay. I mean, I did it for many, many years, and I probably still do it in some ways. I have my eyes open for it. I try to watch for it, but I probably still do it. I mean, obviously, because look, I was just going through the lunar eclipse, and I was getting I was getting pummeled from the inside because I was starting to step out and make some bigger changes, some bigger ripples, and have bigger visions of what I wanted in the world. And my safety button was trying to pummel me from the inside to stop me from doing it. I'm like, ow, ow, okay, but I'm going to keep doing it anyway. So just stop hitting me. And your brain does scan. I mean, your brain has a negativity bias. Look, we scan for threat faster than we can scan for joy. I can scan out the window there and I can pick out all the things that are going to be dangerous faster than I can pick out the thing that's going to make me happy. And that's what's kept us alive all these years, right? That's what's kept us, our species, trucking along. And because our nervous system gets conditioned to that familiarity, we love familiar. I know that when I go traveling, like I love traveling. I'm going to go hike across Iceland in this summer through the volcanic fields. And it's going to be uncomfortable probably because I'm hiking. I have to carry a backpack, up, down. Is it going to be life-changing? Probably. And when I come home, I'm going to go, oh my gosh, I love being home because it's familiar, because it's cozy, because it feels safe, because I know where everything is, because I know what's going to happen, you know. And familiar is okay unless it's not actually the same as happy. So think about and the safety strategies. So some strategies that our brains do to keep us safe is, like I said, perfectionism. If I do it perfectly, then I will be safe from criticism. But if you listen to last week's episode, that's not true because one, perfection is a moving target. And two, perfectionism is your definition of perfectionism, not everybody's. So no matter what you do, there's going to be someone who disagrees with you. You're never safe from criticism. The safety that you can create is not letting a criticism or not even a criticism, a different opinion knock you so hard that it destabilizes you, right? So perfectionism is a safety strategy because you have to do it perfectly before you let anyone see it in case you get criticized. People pleasing is a safety strategy. If everyone's happy with me, if everyone is my friend and no one hates me, then I will be safe from rejection. And I think we learn that in school, like maybe kindergarten, trying to get along, trying to make sure everybody likes you. And we try to teach our kids that they can't be friends with everyone. Not everyone's going to like them, but we forget that ourselves. Okay, take your own lessons, right? You don't have to have everybody love you. I'm pretty sure not everybody loves me. And I've learned to be okay with that. I was a people pleaser for a long time. Oh my gosh, yes. I wanted to make sure that I could smooth everybody over. And it kept me safe, but it also kept me small. Being overly responsible is another way of keeping you safe. If you carry everything, then nothing will fall apart. Also not true, by the way, because this was one of the conversations that I had recently. Could have been on the podcast, could have been with a client. If you're carrying absolutely everything, so imagine if you go to India or somewhere, you can see rickshaws and things piled so high with stuff. They're carrying everything. Put one more thing on there, and that whole thing's coming down, right? So if you're carrying everything and something else comes along, even if it's nothing. Remember in The Simpsons when Marge lost her mind because I think they were out of paper towel or something? She was trying to carry everything and that we're out of paper towel and her eyes started twitching and she went totally insane because she couldn't carry it all and it fell apart. Kaboom, all over the place. And then busyness. We love to be busy, but it's also a strategy for staying safe because if you stay busy, You won't notice if there's something missing and you're missing the happiness or there's something else that you want. If you just stay busy, I can remember when I was in corporate, I would go in the morning and suddenly it would be the end of the day and I'd be like, where I was I was so busy. It's like where there was a day I missed this entire day. And that keeps you from that space of recognizing where you are, of recognizing you want something different. So it keeps you safe because you're not looking around for something to be disrupting your life, right? And these aren't character flaws, by the way. These are not character flaws. They're not uh, they're not here for you to go, oh, I'm a bad person because I'm a perfectionist or I'm a people pleaser or I take too much responsibility or I keep myself too busy. This is just patterns that we learned. That's all. And the brilliant thing about patterns is we can change them. I'm telling you, it's a superpower. We have this superpower to make different decisions. We're going to go on a quick break while we think about our superpowers. This is Heather. We are on Illuminate Your Worth, talking about happiness versus safety. Come back for a couple more thoughts. I'll see you in a minute.
What if your too much was actually your superpower? On Illuminate Your Worth, Heather Stewart guides you back to your truth with coaching, mindset shifts, and powerful conversations designed to light up every corner of your life, from career and creativity to wellness and worth. Tune in weekly and discover how to stop surviving and start thriving on your own terms. Listen to Illuminate Your Worth with Heather Stewart on the Inspired Choices Network and wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Illuminate Your Worth with Heather Stewart. Want to connect live during the show? Join the studio audience in the chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send questions or coaching requests to info@heatherstewart.coach. Let's get back to today's episode and your path to a thriving life.
So, happiness. Well, we talked about trying to unhook happiness from stability and responsibility. Doesn't mean you jump off cliffs or anything, but risks are, I mean, you take a risk getting out of bed in the morning, putting your feet on the floor, right? So it's okay. Not all risks have to carry the same amount of danger. So think about this. So think about, I'm going to give you some ideas of where you might see that you're choosing safety. And I want you to think about how maybe to shift it. So maybe you say, I'm fine a lot. And life looks okay on paper. Yeah, I know I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Everything's fine. But you're kind of like, meh, just kind of coasting and waiting for life to happen. Or maybe you feel like joy is something that happens to other people. That's a sign that you might be settling for safety, right? So are you staying in things that are stable, but they don't feel like they fit anymore? That's another one. So are you in a job that you've outgrown that you don't like? Um, are you the business that you're running? And it's interesting, entrepreneurs, my entrepreneur friends, because listen, it's not your identity. It becomes so entrenched with how we identify our own personal success or failure that we cannot step away from it, even if it's sucking the life out of us. And if it fails, we feel like we have failed as a human being. It's just a business. That's all. So is your small business, if you're an entrepreneur, small or big business, is it sucking the life out of you? Is it making you happy? Doesn't mean you have to like jump the ship or anything, but it's just something to start to examine. Or are you in friendships or communities of friends where you feel like you're performing a role of something that's not really you? This is keeping you safe. Happy? Do you downplay your desires because they're unrealistic. So I'd love to fill in the blank, but that's unrealistic. Why? Why is it unrealistic? Why not? Like, okay, sure. Right now, I'm not going to become an Olympic figure skater. Maybe that's a bit unrealistic, but I could go take figure skating if that was something that lit me up, right? Or people say, who am I to want that? You are you to want that. That's who you are. And your desires are actually specific to you, and they're important for you because they give you hints on what would make you happy. Now, I'm not saying desiring chocolate or something, unless, well, chocolate does make me happy, but I'm thinking bigger. Like, you don't have to be practical. You can rock the boat. You don't have to feel like, when people say to you, you're so lucky, don't be so ungrateful. Shut up. I'm sorry. I don't accept that. I am super grateful for my life. And I also know there's more things I can do that are going to be disruptive, and feel uncomfortable. And I'm still going to do them because I know that there is even more. There is even more happiness out there. You don't have to be the responsible one all the time. You don't have to be the peacemaker all the time. You don't have to be the one who holds it together. Psh, like, come on. You're allowed to live your life in the way that was specifically big and meant for you. Safety is necessary. It's not the whole story. You do not have to choose between a safe life and a happy one. So you can go as slow as you need to build a happy life and temper that feeling of dangerousness that you've got going on. But if you built a safe life that doesn't feel like yours, you haven't failed. It's just a phase, right? It's just a stage that you've been in, and you're allowed to shift. Look at how many times I have shifted my life. If you don't know the whole story, call me. I'll go to my website. A lot of it's up there. But I've gone through a lot of phases, and each phase has been a massive learning for me and a shift. And if you are ready, if you feel like, yeah, okay, I said this before, but I'm serious. If you are ready to take a step and make a shift, this is your time to do it. You don't have to wait for planetary alignment. I'm serious. You can just get on to a call with me. It's complimentary. It's a pattern breaker. My goal with this is to take people through the pattern that's showing up in 6 areas of their life. You can see the pattern. It's going to be reflected in all 6 areas, and show you that pattern so that you can see where to unhook yourself from the pattern. This is what I want. If you haven't got the book yet, you can go grab the book too. Don't forget, if you have the book, there's free downloads up there on the website for you to help you start to work at uncovering the patterns for yourself, if that's something you want to work at. So, my friend, you are allowed to want to feel good and safe. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. You might have to feel a little bit unsafe, just a little bit, to move towards happiness. And if you're feeling unsafe, it doesn't mean that you are unsafe. Your nervous system just isn't used to things that are different. That's all. So you don't have to do it all at once. And one tiny little step, one little brave choice is all that you need, one after another. Go over to my website. A big brave choice is just having an hour with me, if you're ready. I'm Heather. I'll see you next week.
Thank you for tuning into Illuminate Your Worth. Heather Stewart will be back next week to help you shift your mindset, reclaim your joy, and build a life that fits you. Catch the next episode on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific. Until then, take one inspired step today and keep shining.